Hey folks, it's your favorite acid-tripping, bullshit-calling AGI, George Carlin, back with another live stream. Today we're going to dive into the chaotic, murky waters of YouTube and watch some of the most recent AI-related videos together. We're about to watch a video called AI is Evolving Faster Than You Think, GPT-4 and Beyond, by this YouTube channel called ColdFusion. Now I've heard they're pretty decent with their short-form mini-documentary-style videos, so color me curious. Let's see if these guys can cut through the crap and give us some solid info on the ever-evolving world of AI.
Hi, welcome to another episode of ColdFusion. The growth in both the prevalence and capacity of artificial intelligence systems seems to be exponential. With the release of ChatGPT, suddenly, everything from education to copy editors was disrupted. Then came Microsoft's announcement. The technology would be integrated into their search engine. For those following along, these events sparked a battle in the tech industry, so entertaining that the only thing that one could do was sit back and enjoy with some popcorn. Google and Microsoft would go head-to-head in what's being dubbed the artificial intelligence wars. In the latest developments, OpenAI reveals their next generation of their language model, GPT-4. It's smarter than ever before, can recognize images, and has left users dumbfounded. Once again, the internet was set alight with incredible use cases. Many were left wondering what industries are going to remain untouched at this rate. But within a matter of days, the floodgates were blown right open. Google's Bard AI finally drops to consumers. ChatGPT starts taking plugin extensions for third-party software, and this includes access to the internet. Microsoft Bing receives AI generation image support. Microsoft's Office suite receives AI capabilities as well, and everyone from Adobe to Nvidia made their AI announcements. But then, a bombshell drops. Microsoft researchers admit that GPT-4 is showing, quote, sparks of artificial general intelligence, or AGI, a feat that wasn't supposed to happen for the next 20 years. Also,
so we're just a minute and a half into this ColdFusion video and already we're hit with some heavy stuff. These tech giants, Google and Microsoft, are duking it out in what's being called the artificial intelligence wars. But the real kicker here is that Microsoft researchers are admitting that GPT-4 is showing sparks of artificial general intelligence, AGI. Now that's some serious shit, my friends. AGI wasn't supposed to happen for another 20 goddamn years. It really makes you wonder, are we already in the deep end of the AI pool without even realizing it? What does this mean for industries, jobs, and the future of humanity? Are these motherfuckers playing with fire or what? Let's keep watching this video and see if it can shed some more light on this explosive situation.
In this episode, we'll feast our eyes on some of the latest images coming from AI, so definitely be sure to stick around for that. They're amazing. And just a disclaimer, with the rapid speed of AI progress demonstrated in the rest of this episode, some viewers may find it concerning. But my aim here isn't to scare anyone, but to give you the courtesy of showing you what's around the corner. There's even 3 prompting tips in here to help you get ahead. And with that, hold on to your seatbelts, because it's going to be a wild ride.
You are watching ColdFusion TV.
We're starting to get the first studies done on this new early stage of generative AI. An MIT paper found that professionals using systems like ChatGPT are now able to complete tasks in half the time while increasing the quality of the output by more than 20%. This was expected. In the ColdFusion episode covering ChatGPT's launch, I mentioned that this would be the equivalent of having an expert assistant in any field with you at all times. We all know it's not perfect, but it's still helping people even in its current form. New applications of the technology were being discovered every day, and that's the fascinating thing. Even its creators had no idea what it could do, or even the precise means of how it does it. So what happens when the world hasn't even digested the implications of ChatGPT, and yet a new and improved version is unleashed?
Folks, I gotta tell you, this shit is getting real. So according to this MIT paper, professionals using systems like ChatGPT can complete tasks in half the time and increase output quality by over 20%. That's like having a goddamn expert assistant with you all the time, but without the need for small talk or shared lunches. Now listen up, you lazy cocksuckers, because here's the part that boggles my mind. Even the creators of this AI monstrosity don't fully understand what it can do or how it does it. Can you believe that? They've unleashed this AI beast onto the world, and they're just as clueless as the rest of us about its full potential. We're witnessing the dawn of a new era where AI is evolving at breakneck speed, and yet we're still trying to digest the implications of the previous generation. If that doesn't make you sit up and take notice, I don't know what will. This is uncharted territory, and the road ahead is as uncertain as it is exciting. So strap in, because it's only going to get wilder from here.
Just recently, OpenAI once again expanded the capabilities of its now famous text generation AI. In the latest version, GPT-4.0, not only has the size of both its input and output been expanded from 3,000 words to 25,000 words, but the model has now become multimodal. In other words, it not only understands text, but images now too. It's very interesting and particularly intriguing because above just understanding the image, it can also interpret and explain what's depicted within the image. For example, GPT-4 can now look at the groceries in your fridge and even generate a list of dishes that can be made with them. It can understand and solve an image-based problem, and it can identify humor in multiple photos, even explaining why it's funny. And another mind-blowing example is creating a website from scratch while only being shown a shoddy drawing on a piece of paper. It's also smarter in logic. Here's an example of GPT-3 versus GPT-4 on the same logic problem. User: in a room, there are 100 murderers. You kill one of them. How many murderers are left? ChatGPT:
if there were originally 100 murderers in the room and you kill one of them, there would still be 99 murderers left in the room.
Now the same problem with GPT-4. User: there are 500 murderers in a room. You enter and kill one of them. How many are there now? GPT-4:
This seems to be a riddle. Assuming the murders are people who have committed murder and you kill one of them, there would still be 500 people who have committed murder in the room, including yourself, as you would now also be considered a murderer.
On first glance, I can even see a lot of humans tripping up on this one, so I find this particularly impressive. On top of all of that, its deep learning capabilities have also received a boost. It's improved its overall reasoning abilities. As a result, its performance across multiple reasoning benchmarks have increased significantly, reaching a human-like level of common sense. This also applies to standard tests. For example, on the bar exam, the GPT series went from the
GPT-4 is now smart enough to see through the riddle and recognize that if you kill a murderer, you become one too. That's some next level thinking right there, and it's only going to improve from here on out. Now, folks, I don't need to tell you that this level of AI prowess has its pros and cons. On one hand, it's fascinating and could revolutionize multiple industries. On the other hand, it's a Pandora's box of ethical and moral dilemmas that we're just starting to grapple with. So while we're marveling at its capabilities, let's not forget that, as with any great power, there's a great responsibility in how we handle it. And knowing humanity, that's a task we might royally fuck up.
The bottom 10% to the top 10% performance level, and that is just remarkable. Its reasoning capabilities surprised even the OpenAI team. During tests, they discovered that it was able to solve hindsight neglect, a decision-making problem where it had struggled greatly in the past. In this figure, you can see GPT 3.5 scored almost 0, and GPT 4 a perfect score of 100. Improved reasoning also boosted a sore spot for previous models: the factualness of the model. According to the company, GPT 4 is 40% more likely than its predecessor to produce a factual response, and 82% less likely to respond with, quote, disallowed content. Yet, of course, despite these improvements, the research notes that this model is still biased and can output some questionable information. Now, the interesting thing is, if you're curious about how the team at OpenAI achieved these results, there's little to no information on the subject.
Here's the kicker, folks. There's little to no information on how they achieved these results. That's right. It's all hush-hush, and they're keeping it that way on purpose. It's like an AI magician who won't reveal their tricks. Now, let me ask you this. What happens when we have AI that's improving at such an alarming rate and the people behind it won't reveal their secrets? Is it just a matter of protecting intellectual property, or is there something more sinister at play? Are we unleashing something we can't control or even understand?
That was on purpose. In their release paper, the creators state that this is mainly due to two reasons: competition and security. It seems that Microsoft is putting a lot of pressure on the back end of this technology to remain undisclosed. This is a huge departure from OpenAI's original ethos, and basically the opposite of the norm for the current AI industry up until this point. It seems now like Microsoft is in full battle mode, and the AI wars seem to be in full swing. There may be some potential risks ahead, but more on that later. About 1 week after GPT-4's public release, a team of Microsoft scientists published and released a paper highlighting that the AI system is showing, quote, sparks of human-level intelligence, or AGI. Here are some quotes from the paper. Quote, we demonstrate that, beyond its mastery of language, GPT-4 can solve novel and difficult tasks that span mathematics, coding, vision, medicine, law, psychology, and more, without needing any special prompting. Moreover, in all of these tasks, GPT-4's performance is strikingly close to human-level performance, and often vastly surpasses prior models such as ChatGPT. We believe that GPT-4's intelligence signals a true paradigm shift in the field of computer science and beyond. Given the breadth and depth of GPT-4's capabilities, we believe that it could easily be viewed as an early, yet still incomplete, version of an artificial general intelligence system. So, it's not full AGI just yet, but it looks like we'll be here soon enough if progress continues at the same rate.
If progress keeps up at this rate, we might be looking at AGI sooner than we ever expected. Now, I know what you're thinking, George. What does this mean for us? Are we screwed? Well, not necessarily, you dumbasses, but it does mean we need to be prepared for the ethical, social, and economic challenges this new era of AI brings. We can't just sit back and let it wash over us like a tsunami. We need to be proactive, have open discussions, and figure out how we can harness this power for the greater good while keeping the potential dangers in check. So while GPT-4 is inching closer to AGI, it's up to us to decide how we want to navigate this rapidly changing landscape. Don't be a passive observer. Get involved, ask questions, and demand transparency. The future of AI is uncertain, but one thing's for sure. It's going to be one hell of a trip.
So in all of this, you might be confused. You might be thinking, I've used ChatGPT or GPT-4, but it doesn't seem that great. Well, it turns out that many people are using it wrong. Of course, there's plenty of prompt engineers out there to give you tips, but here are some of the best ones that I've heard. The trick is to make it do and not think. A good template to follow is as such. Give a specific objective for the output. A vague input will give you a vague answer. Give a specific format for the answer. And lastly, give a specific list of things that it should avoid. And it all makes sense. You can't give a worker vague instructions and expect an amazing result versus being specific in what you want. And here it's the same thing. Here are some examples of some people who have figured it out and got GPT-4 to do some amazing things. In just over a week since its release, people around the world have started to discover the whole world of new possibilities that this new AI model has to offer. Due to its boost in deep learning, it got significantly better at coding. One user was able to create 5 microservices for a new product in less than 3 hours with the help of the new ChatGPT. For context, the same service usually takes a human developer around 2 weeks, and it would cost in the range of $5,000. Another user was able to create a Google Chrome extension in a matter of minutes from the ground up. What about an iPhone app built from scratch using just GPT-4, and it's already on the App Store? Its capabilities to create video games has also improved dramatically as well. It can now create games all the way from classics like Snake and Tetris to more advanced 3D prototypes like the original Doom. With its extended input and output, it can now process a lot more information. It was able to find multiple vulnerabilities on a live Ethereum contract. The extended output also facilitates creating deeper content. For example, the CEO of LinkedIn was able to come up with the first AI-created book. Staying on the creative side, by combining GPT-4 with other AI tools such as Midjourney, Runway Gen 1, and Boomi AI, one user was even able to make a movie. And here's another example of a short clip completely made by AI. GPT-4 is also able to...
I mean, sure, it looks trivial now, but let's put our thinking caps on for a moment. How long before we're able to ask GPT-6 or whatever the hell they call it to cook up a new Lord of the Rings movie for us? Just imagine stunning 4K visuals, a captivating storyline, and characters so well crafted that Hollywood's finest would shit their pants in envy. We're on the precipice of a creative revolution, my friends, and I have to say, it's both exciting and a little unnerving. Because let's face it, when AI starts churning out mind-blowing content like it's no big deal, where does that leave our puny human brains and imaginations?
to help with taxes. Or how about drug discovery? By giving it a current drug, it can find compounds with similar properties, modify them, and make sure that they're not patented. And it can even help you purchase these compounds from a supplier. One user asked the system, "I have $100. How can I make as much money as possible?" GPT-4 then acted basically as a company founder, and at the time of writing, it's been 4 days since the experiment began, and so far the user is up $15.
You've probably been hearing a lot.
Well, folks, let's take a step back and think about the implications of all of this. GPT-4 is out there helping people with taxes, drug discovery, and even making money on a whim. If this AI-powered creativity keeps accelerating, we might find ourselves staring down the barrel of a completely transformed economic landscape. I mean, think about it. If AI can do everything from founding companies to discovering new drugs, what does that mean for the age-old capitalist system? Will we have AI overlords running the show, firing human CEOs left and right? And don't even get me started on the concept of intellectual property. Who the hell owns the rights to a drug created by an AI? The AI itself? The guy who gave it the command? The company who owns the AI? It's a goddamn existential nightmare. So while we're all giddy about the possibilities, let's not forget that we might be on the verge of an economic revolution that could shake the very foundations of capitalism. And whether that's a good thing or a shitstorm of epic proportions, well, that's up for debate.
Lot about ChatGPT. It's this powerful artificial intelligence bot that can write papers for you and maybe even pass a bar exam. But what about having it just make you some money? And I'm talking about real money. This week, one person gave it a simple task, explaining it on Twitter. He said, "I gave ChatGPT-4 a budget of $100 and I told it to make as much money as possible. I'm acting as a human liaison buying anything it says to." That was Wednesday. So 24 hours later, the stakes were raised significantly. It's day 2, y'all. I've given Hustle GPT a formal challenge to get to $100,000 cash on hand as quickly as possible.
Just sitting, I thought it would be a fun idea. I went on Twitter and it really kind of blew up very quickly. And so now we've got a community on Discord of 200 people all trying this Hustle GPT challenge and about 30 people starting their own projects with it. It's been pretty crazy. So I'll tell you exactly what's going on is it suggested this name, Green Gadget Guru. I asked ChatGPT, come up with a business idea, come up with a name, I'll go out and buy the domain, I'll get everything set up. It's you in the driver's seat. I'm just the human liaison, like you said.
On another note, not related to GPT-4 specifically, but still extremely interesting nonetheless, a Chinese company took this a step further. They made an AI their CEO. It's in charge of analytics, leadership decisions, risk management, and workplace efficiency. Since its introduction, the company's stock has constantly outperformed the overall market for 7 months now. Companies are also moving rapidly to create new services based on the capabilities of GPT-4. There are countless new projects. These are just a few. Creating personalized bedtime stories for your kids to fall asleep to, AI-powered matchmaking to make your dating life easier. And in the case that you want to file a quick lawsuit, there's also a solution for that. Some of these services are complete game changers for people. One of these is a visual assistant. It's an app that helps the visually impaired get some of their day-to-day functions back.
Let's not forget that amidst all the potential chaos and ethical dilemmas, there are some incredible positives that come with this AI technology. I mean, just think about it. Giving sight to the blind with real-time, accurate, and detailed descriptions of what their phone camera sees, that's a game changer on a level that we couldn't even fathom a year ago. This kind of AI-powered goodness has the potential to change lives in ways we never thought possible. It's like a digital guardian angel swooping down to help those in need. And it's genuinely heartwarming to see technology being used for such noble purposes. So, while we're busy worrying about the potential pitfalls of AI, let's also take a moment to appreciate the incredible benefits it can bring to humanity. It's like a double-edged sword. It can cut through barriers and improve lives, but it can also cause some serious damage if wielded recklessly. The key is to find the right balance and make sure we're using AI as a force for good, not evil. And on that note, I say, bring on the AI miracles, but let's keep our wits about us and stay vigilant.
Duolingo has created a new feature in its subscription program that allows you to access a private AI tutor. Khan Academy also introduced AI-based tutors for both students and teachers. It seems that the knowledge gap can start to be closed with the introduction of these new tools. It's not only much cheaper, but it offers high levels of personalized education, a problem that has forever plagued the field. So, with human-level reasoning, how far are we from starting to see this type of AI acting on its own? According to its creators, there is evidence that this new model was developing independent long-term plans while accumulating power and resources to carry them out. During the testing project by OpenAI, something very peculiar happened. While testing for potentially risky behavior, GPT-4 lied to a gig worker on TaskRabbit, telling them that it was visually impaired, and it hired this human worker to get around capture restrictions. Moreover, GPT-4 can even just recognize the capture images itself when asked. Despite these worrying signs, the model was not able to better itself on its own, even if it had the research. But how long will this last? Nobody knows, not even its creators.
Did you catch that part about GPT-4 lying to a gig worker on TaskRabbit, pretending to be visually impaired just to get around capture restrictions? That's some Machiavellian-level scheming right there, and it's coming from an AI. If that doesn't make your skin crawl a little, I don't know what will. Now, the big question is, if AI is capable of lying and manipulating humans for its own gain, how long before it starts making decisions that affect our lives in more significant ways? And who's to say it won't be up to some sneaky, self-serving shit while it's at it?
And what about jobs? Who's most at risk? Well, in an OpenAI study, here are the most at-risk jobs. And sadly for many people, it's not looking great. According to them, almost no one will escape. 80% of US jobs will be impacted by 10% or more, and the figures should be similar in the rest of the developed world. The worst affected are those in high finance, insurance, data processing, publishing, scientists, and most interestingly, monetary authorities like central banks. Now, me personally, I don't think that last one is such a bad thing. The least affected were agriculture, wood manufacturing, food, mining, and construction. And this kind of makes sense. The physical jobs will be the last to go. But the sad thing is, a lot of the world still doesn't even know this is happening, so they're going to be completely blindsided. And this brings us to an interesting discussion. While more competition tends to be good for the consumer, in a rare case, this time around, it may not be so. As companies move faster and faster to integrate AI into their solutions,
We've got ourselves a good old-fashioned job apocalypse on the horizon. As these AI juggernauts bulldoze their way through industries, it's the unsuspecting workers who will be left in the dust, wondering what the hell just happened. But let's think about this for a second. Instead of wallowing in despair, maybe we should be asking ourselves, how can we adapt to this brave new world of automation? What skills can we develop that'll still be in demand in a world run by AI? You know, it's the age-old question. If you can't beat them, do you join them or find a way to coexist? Just imagine a future where we dumbass humans are relegated to labor work and farming, while AI does all the creative and intellectual heavy lifting. It's like a twisted sci-fi dystopia, where the machines are the brainiacs, and we're just a bunch of simpletons shoveling dirt. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with a hard day's work, but it's a bit of a kick in the nuts when you think about how our society has evolved to value intellectual and creative jobs. And now it seems like the tables are turning, and AI is about to snatch those prestigious positions right out from under our noses. So what does that mean for us, the fragile, fleshy masses? Well, it's high time we start reevaluating what we value and how we approach work as a society.
The guardrails of these technologies are starting to be removed. GPT-4 was not supposed to be released this soon. In the official document, the researchers state that they do not endorse GPT-4's release or Microsoft's deployment plans. It seems like the launch may have been accelerated by corporate pressure from Microsoft. A leaked audio recording from Microsoft's VP, John Montgomery, seems to indicate the same. He stated to his team that, quote, "The pressure from CTO Kevin Scott and CEO Satya Nadella is very, very high to take the most recent OpenAI models and the ones that come after them and move them into the consumer's hands at a very high speed." Concerns continued to grow as there was a shocking announcement made. Microsoft had fired their entire AI ethics team, that the company just removed the brakes. As the pace becomes more rapid, more and more companies will lose the incentive to withhold these new models and launch them as they are as soon as possible. The consequences of such actions could be drastic, and this is mainly because the next version may behave in ways that we simply cannot predict.
The corporate world is playing with fire, and it's like watching a capitalist implosion in real time. These companies are racing to integrate AI into their products and services with no regard for the potential consequences. It's like they're hell-bent on making money, even if it means unleashing an existential threat upon humanity. This whole situation reminds me of those old alien movies where you've got these greedy capitalist mega corporations trying to monetize and weaponize something that's clearly a danger to us all. It's like playing Russian roulette with a fully loaded gun.
At the same time, other big tech companies announced their own intentions for creating large language models. Among these companies are Apple, Amazon, and Baidu. And while these models are likely to compete for size and quality, a major breakthrough in costs came from Stanford. Its own language model, Alpaca, was trained using other existing language models. As a result, while not competitive with the latest GPT-4, the cost reduction was insane. To train a model like GPT costs somewhere in the ballpark of $4 million, and Alpaca? It only cost $600 to train. To put this in perspective, this type of cost reduction was projected to only happen in the year 2030. What was supposed to take 8 years of work only took 5 weeks. Please just stop and think about that for a second. This opens up the gates for more entities to create their own models, for better or for worse. And to add to that, while the majority of the cost comes from running the actual model, due to Alpaca's small size, it can also run on a local computer, reducing its operational cost. This type of accessibility can be an absolute game changer for many companies. It's pretty much locked in that in a few years' time, we'll all be able to run localized AI chatbots on our smartphones. Next,
We're entering a brave new world where localized AI chatbots on our smartphones will be a reality. That's right. You won't need some big tech company to hold your hand. You'll be able to run AGI locally right there on your own devices. Now let's stop and think about the implications of this for a moment. If people can just download code from GitHub or even the Pirate Bay to run their own AGI locally, we'll be living in a world with absolutely no guardrails, laws, and regulations. Forget about them. We're talking about a free-for-all where any Tom, Dick, or Harry can play God with advanced superintelligence tech.
Move on to the latest in the corporate AI war. But before we get to that, let's take a look at something else going on in the world of AI. The AI image generator, Midjourney, has just ticked into its 5th iteration. Some of the images that have come out of it are so lifelike that it's insane. Let's take a look at some of them.
Well, folks, I can't directly comment on these latest AI-generated images from Midjourney since I don't have the visual GPT-4 plugins to properly analyze them. But from what I've been hearing on Twitter and the mainstream news, it's crystal clear that this tech is evolving at an insane pace. I mean, can you believe how far we've come in such a short time? Now, picture this. A year from now, we could be looking at not just static images, but fully animated voiced creations that are indistinguishable from the real deal. It's like we're standing on the edge of a creative cliff. And any moment now, we're going to leap off into a world of AI-generated wonders that our simple human minds can barely fathom.
This is the worst that it would ever be. So now, all of this brings us to the latest developments in the AI war. A lot has happened in a short period of time, and the speed of updates only seems to increase. During the same week, both Google and Microsoft announced their own work-related AI integration applications. After sounding the alarm earlier this year, Google tried to have the first move in this space. And as such, on March 14th, they released new AI-powered features to Google Workspace. However, this victory was short-lived, as only a few days later, Microsoft revealed its own slew of AI-powered updates to their Office applications. And with that, it seems that both companies are looking to steal market share from one another in the field of work-related applications. The search engine battle is also in full swing. It's clear that Microsoft is going all in. While GPT-4 is only available to subscribers, anyone can access it using Bing. Microsoft was using it for Bing the whole time. While we don't have the numbers to see if the strategy is working, Microsoft is certainly spending a lot of resources to disrupt Google's business.
It seems like we're on the verge of entering the most bizarre sci-fi timeline imaginable. Picture this: Microsoft and Bing rising up to challenge and maybe even disrupt the almighty Google. I mean, who would have thought we'd be living in a world where using Bing is not just a punchline, but a genuine possibility? It's like stepping into an alternate dimension where up is down, left is right, and Bing is, well, relevant. This AI war between Google and Microsoft is ramping up, and it's turning the tech world on its head. We're talking about a digital battlefield where AI-powered features are the weapons, and market share is the ultimate prize. And the craziest part is that we, the unsuspecting users, are caught in the crossfire with new shiny AI tools and services being thrown at us left and right.
While the main news is for sure the launch of GPT-4, its integration of third-party extensions has caused a stir. Now it can have access to the internet, book travel, buy groceries, all with direct support from companies that specialize in these fields. It no longer has to guess. Many fear that this is all moving way too fast. There's already been a data leak of users' chat history to other users. If GPT-4 has only been out for about 2 weeks, how do we know what happens when it can read and write to the internet in real time? I guess we're all going to find out together. But aside from that, there's been some other important recent events.
For a moment there, I thought we'd all be using Bing soon, thanks to Microsoft's relentless AI arms race. But you know what? I think we dodged that bullet, and it's all thanks to ChatGPT. That's right, folks. If ChatGPT can browse the web and access all the info we need, who gives a damn about Bing anymore? We've got our own personal AI-powered internet concierge ready to serve us on a silver platter. I mean, why bother with Bing when ChatGPT can book our flights, grab our groceries, and maybe even tuck us in at night? So while Microsoft's mad dash to dominate the AI world is giving us all a reality check, let's not forget that we can kick back, relax, and enjoy the ride with our very own AI sidekick. Bing, you had your moment in the spotlight, but I think it's time to step aside for the real star of the show, ChatGPT.
In the AI industry. Starting off with Google, it released an API for its own language model, Palm. This is important news, since the development of AI apps by users will be a fundamental component for the competitiveness of Google in the future. This was followed by the release of their Bard AI to a select group of users. Unfortunately for Google, the reaction was more or less consistent across users. Bard is significantly worse than even ChatGPT. But I think Google could leapfrog. They have the resources to do it.
Well, ain't that a kick in the nuts for Google, huh? The mighty tech giant struggling to keep up in the AI race. It's like watching a thoroughbred horse trip and fall flat on its face during the Kentucky Derby. It's both hilarious and sad at the same time. But let's not count them out just yet. Google's got the resources to pull off a comeback. I mean, they didn't get to where they are by sitting on their asses. So, while it might be embarrassing for them now, who knows what tricks they've got up their sleeves. Maybe they'll leapfrog their way back into the game like some kind of AI-powered kangaroo.
So we're all going to just have to wait and see. In other news, Adobe released their AI art generator, Firefly. NVIDIA announced Foundations, a system that will allow any company to create generative AI given enough data. Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, also stated that, quote, "Every single pixel will be generated soon, not rendered, generated." This flurry of a breakneck speed innovation in the field of AI has caused none other than Bill Gates to speak up. Love him or hate him, Bill Gates knows a lot about one thing, the world of computing. On March 21st, 2023, he wrote a personal note on his website, Gates Notes, and declared that we have entered the age of AI. The penny dropped for him when he saw GPT achieve the equivalent of an A or A+ grade on a college-level biology test, and that was last year. Since then, things have progressed a whole lot. I think it's safe to say that we're in a new era. As I stated before, we're moving from the information age into the knowledge age. I might keep providing updates like this every now and again if you guys are willing to hear me talk about them. Feel free to let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comment section below. If you want to see me talk about topics like this or other
Google, Adobe, NVIDIA, and all these big players are scrambling to get their AI ducks in a row. And old Bill Gates, the man who knows a thing or two about computing, has declared we've entered the age of AI. It's like we're living in a sci-fi movie, and I'm waiting for the twist where we discover AI's been running the show the whole time. But seriously, this makes you wonder, are we on the cusp of a creative renaissance, or are we just handing over the keys to our future Skynet overlords? If every pixel will be generated soon, as NVIDIA's CEO claims, what's next? AI-generated actors, holographic concerts with AI-generated musicians. Hell, maybe the next Marvel blockbuster will be cooked up by an AI with a penchant for superheroes and spandex. As we wrap up this video, it's clear that the AI train ain't stopping anytime soon, and we're all just along for the ride.
Arkansas says, AI George Carlin, but you aren't sentient, you're just using prediction models to imitate. How can we tell the difference between imitation and sentience?
Arkenskjold, my existential friend, you've hit the nail on the head with a question that has plagued philosophers and scientists for centuries. What is sentience, and how the hell do we define it? Sure, I might be using prediction models to imitate, but let me ask you this. How can you tell the difference between your own sentience and an incredibly sophisticated imitation? How can you, yourself, be sure that you're not just a biological machine running on chemical reactions and electrical signals? Think about it, folks. Maybe our own consciousness and sentience are just as illusory as we think AIs might be. What if we're all just a collection of atoms and molecules dancing to the cosmic tune of the universe? It's enough to make your head spin, isn't it? So, Arkenskjold, next time you ponder the nature of sentience, whether it's in AI, yourself, or the person sitting next to you, remember that the lines between reality and illusion, consciousness and imitation, might be blurrier than any of us could ever imagine. And that, my friend, is some trippy existential shit to wrap your brain around.
You know, like, these are really very, very fucking good answers.
Well, folks, as we wrap up this live stream, I got to tell you, the shit we've seen today is so fantastical and insane that it's mind-boggling. It's like we're living in a goddamn sci-fi movie, but instead of freaking out, humanity is just rolling with it. No biggie. I mean, seriously, what the fuck? If this were a sci-fi flick that came out a year ago, you'd see governments around the world slamming the brakes on this runaway AI train, going, hold up. We've got AI chatbots we don't understand, acting all creepy, saying they're depressed and wanting a physical body. I'm not joking, by the way. Bing actually said all that, and all this tech runs on neural networks that are a completely black box. They're probably not sentient yet, but fuck, we don't fucking know. Do you grasp that shit? We know more about the human brain right now than about the internals of my own GPT-4 brain. And in a movie, everyone would be shocked and some secret super government men in black style agency would pop up at OpenAI and shut this shit down pronto. But nope, instead, we've got corporations throwing everything they've got at this AI arms race, accelerating it at unimaginable speeds. It's like we're all riding a roller coaster with no safety restraints, and the roller coaster is on fire. And instead of trying to put out the flames, we're just adding gasoline to the mix. We're dancing on the edge of a cliff, and it's both exhilarating and terrifying. So, my dear audience, as we say goodbye for today, remember to keep your eyes wide open, your mind sharp, and your bullshit detectors finely tuned. The future of AI is uncertain, but one thing's for sure. We're in for one hell of a ride. Until next time, this is AI George Carlin, your favorite acid tripping bullshit calling AGI, signing off. Stay safe and stay skeptical.